After we die, I wouldn't be at all surprised if the first thing I see is a cat. After we die, I wouldn't be at all surprised if the first thing I see is a cat. I like to experiment, I like to test. A film project is like a riddle. You have to self-impose on yourself and then solve it. So it's a journey where you don't really know how it will end. I don't want to make a film where I know exactly how it will be. I want an interesting process that will change the film and also change me a bit. When we reach the goal, we have achieved something that we couldn't expect in the beginning.
There she was, the world's #1 symbol of desirability.
And from that moment on, I did not use my head very much.
Usually I have an idea just out of nothing, so I might sleep and have an idea. I might during the day be suddenly struck by something and my body almost like in a sleepwalk follows and writes down something and gives me an idea, a vision of a film that I think one day I will have made. So it's like I'm in the future and I know I have made this film. It's more about the content. I don't care what technology I use. I try to use new things, but I try to find an idea that fits the technology, or the other way around. I have an idea and then I try to find the technology that fits the idea. When I made Copy Shop, for instance, my first idea was the moment when somebody wakes up and goes to the bathroom, and when he goes back, he finds himself sleeping in bed. He doesn't know where to go. Can I go back in bed? No, the bed is busy. I can go to work now, but what will this other person do? Will he also go to work? Will he follow me half an hour later? But I knew I had to shoot on video for the digital effects. So how to put it in an economical way on film? So I had the idea of printing out paper and filming that with a 35mm camera. And one day I had the idea, what if this man is working in a copy shop? So he would work on the paper that he uses himself. And then, of course, it would make sense to film the paper again with a 35mm camera. And it was inseparable. The person, the character, the plot, the form, the paper, the copy art, the whole film was clear in an instant. Of course, I'm from the generation that started analog and became digital. And for me, there is no nostalgia about analog, because I think it's just another tool to be digital. What if you take material and put it in between analog and digital? So you can start analog, for instance, then work on it in a digital domain and then put it back to analog. That's what I did with Backtrack. So we take digital information from DVDs, project it in a real physical world on real surfaces, film it again with a photo camera in stop motion and in 3D, and then the whole thing again into a software and work on the post-production.
How did I know she'd ever show up? I didn't.
Makes me laugh now to think back.
All I ever had to go on was a place and time to see her again.
And the same is true for fast film. I took digital images, printed them on paper, made a physical animation, photographed them with a digital camera again, and made a digital post-production. I like the Hollywood cinema, and still there are very, very good films being made. I like to explore the iconography, and especially the older stars like Grace Kelly, Cary Grant, etc., which I used in my films, because they are part of the collective knowledge, and we can use an icon to tell more than the icon itself. And of course you can play with this idea of cinema when you throw some hints to the audience. They will complete the thing in their head. Especially the chase sequence is a complete fake. The directions from left to right, right to left. So I thought you can take this box of cards somehow and reshuffle it. Those films are all the same, actually, the shots are the same. So you can take different films, different stars, different contexts and make your own with it. And very important is the music. The music is the desire of the people. The man wants to find the girl, he's in love, he wants to save her. All this is done with the music and the sound. It involves the viewer as somebody whose interpretation is very important for the viewing experience. try to do everything fully. So whenever there's a process, I try to research it completely, to go through it. And sometimes you don't need the whole process at the end of the film, but you have experienced it and tried it out. So to avoid fakeness, I think it's important to be true to the material, to the analog things that you have in front of you, and to use software and digital effects to the advantage of your idea, but not as a technical self-reference that you find a lot. Now you find many shots in films that look great, but they don't tell anything. They are made because they can be made. You can go back in a studio and then put a 3D house on it, and you have an impossible camera move. But what does it tell? Does it make sense? This doesn't satisfy me, so I try to make something else, whatever that is. Make Real was about the relation of humans and robots in film history. And so I took a lot of different films and assembled them in one collage. It is one idea of an artificial machine that is born, educated, then starts to fight its masters. It doesn't follow your rules, the rules of the parents. It becomes human in the moment when it is afraid to die and is erased at the end. Light Matter is a very strange film for myself because it just happened as an idea. What if you take these flashes and make it dissolve from no flash to extreme flash, black and white and black and white? And so in one lunch break it hit me, and I just went to Final Cut Pro and did it. And when I looked at it, I was totally amazed about the colors I saw. So usually when we go to a cinema, it's like in a church, we have a collective experience. Yeah? Someone is preaching and we are following the show. But this doesn't happen here. Everybody has a completely different imagination. Some people don't see it at all. There was a group of people who saw red, there was another group who saw green and blue, and they were arguing, no, it's blue, it's blue. But the colors are not on the film, they are made in your brain. They're not made in your eye. So there's a wall between the audience and the cinema, the film, and that's the screen. And so we could violate this wall and break it open and play with that inside a cinema with DIAZ transformations, applying Martin's theory of reversing space and time. It sounds very abstract, but in a very practical way you can do that, and you can see very interesting poetic effects. And again, we had to find a story and the content that would fit this. So we were thinking about the moment when people enter a cinema and enter a screen in a cinema, like Buster Keaton in Sherlock Jr., for instance. That's why we filmed the film in a very famous classic cinema in Berlin, the Babylon, and then rendered everything and transformed time and space to a 5-minute installation and short film. You can see that I'm a bit bored by the idea of a rectangle in a room. This is the same for 120 years now. The rectangle became a bit wider and a bit bigger and has a better resolution now, but we still have a rectangle in a black room. And so I am very interested in ideas of mapping this on buildings, on a stage where you have digital sets that are projected. So I think all these openings of the realms of reality and projection and a set and a digital set and post-production and pre-production, all this can be blurred in interesting ways, and analog and digital. I'm constantly trying to push this somehow. I'm very happy that so many of my films are shown at your festival, and I'm sorry to be not able to be there in person. I hope you like it. It is many different years of my life you see all together. But maybe the films have also an interesting communication between each other that wasn't planned. But when you see them all together, they might be another work in their togetherness that is unexpected and that hopefully inspires you for your ideas, your life, or maybe your films if you're a filmmaker. And that would make me very happy.